Hi, welcome to Variety Tech Today. I thought I'd like to talk a little bit about discs. 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 Plural. You know, like CDs, DVDs, Laserdiscs. Anyway, the ones you buy in the store are typically made using a method usually called pressed discs. Digital data is, of course, made up of bits that put together in various patterns make bytes and kilobytes and megabytes and gigabytes, and all that makes the movie or the music or whatever data is on there. So anyway, these pressed discs are made from usually glass masters that are stamped physically. So it's somewhat of an investment. However, for consumers, the affordable option is writable discs for home drives like CDRs, DVDRs, BDRs, which is what writable Blu-rays are called. These obviously aren't pressed from a physical master. Rather, they have a layer of recordable dye on the disc. That's why DVDs typically have that purple look and recordable Blu-rays have sometimes a silver or gold look. But anyway, that's a layer of dye under there, and when the laser hits it, based on the intensity, it'll darken it. That's why when you see a disc that's been written to, you'll see a sizable midsection that has turned darker based on the amount of data going inwards to outwards that's been written to that disc. But these aren't just for consumers. Even large companies like Warner Brothers and others have used recordable discs like this for manufacture on demand, what they usually call it, for movies and TV shows that they don't want to put a large upfront investment on, but that they can produce in small quantities and as they're ordered by customers. But no matter how the disc itself is made, there have been manufacturing problems at times. It happens. Sometimes it's referred to as disc rot. It usually involves the various layers separating or a problem with the adhesive. In the days of laser discs, this was often referred to as laser rot. In its early stages, it would often manifest as these multicolored blotches scattered throughout the image, and eventually it could even become unreadable. I had a disc that I tested before I was going to resell it because it had these suspicious rings around it. I'm not sure if that was synonymous with laser rot or not, but anyway, it in fact did not read in the Laserdisc player. And going to the inner circle of the Laserdisc, where the two halves are glued together, it was starting to separate, and I could peel them apart. So for the heck of it, I busted it. And you could clearly see the two halves glued together, and it still had that sticky adhesive in between them. Now, DVDs typically aren't double-sided like Laserdiscs were, but in the early days of DVDs, some were. There are what they call dual-layer DVDs and dual-layer Blu-rays, but that doesn't involve flipping the disc over. They even made a dual-layer double-sided DVD that held quadruple the amount of data of a single DVD, but that was kind of a losing battle, expensive to manufacture, and really no need for that once Blu-ray came along. Blu-ray introduced a new feature, protective coating standard in all discs, whether they're BDRs or pressed discs. They all had this smooth, you could feel it, protective layer on the data side. And this was really essential. Scratched discs had always been somewhat of a problem, but it wasn't a huge deal. If a CD or a DVD got scratched enough or deep enough, it could skip or become unreadable. But as more and more data got packed onto these things, from CD to DVD, double-layer DVD, the chances of becoming unreadable increased because that data was more finely packed, so there's more room for error. So with Blu-ray, with at least 25 gigabytes, that was essential to have a protective layer. So again, I busted it for the heck of it. And you can see on this readable Blu-ray that you can peel up this thin, clear layer that's stuck above the data layer. And underneath is that blue dye. And unlike the discs before it, Blu-ray is literally read by a blue ray because blue light is finer, so it's able to read smaller data and therefore pack more data onto a disk. Alright, that's about it for now. See you next time.